How are you, child of God? This is the Remnant Seed Bible Study channel. Welcome. Today's subject is the criteria for the Great Tribulation. I want to go over all the things that signify that we're actually in the Great Tribulation. I'm not saying we are. It's my opinion that we are, but that's my opinion. And I've been hearing a lot of people talking about this, so I figured I'd do a video on it and try to explain it a little better so that people could look around and see the signs of the times. So we're going to get our references from Mathew 24, although we could go to Mark 13 or Luke 21. But I'm going to use Mathew 24 because really this is really all you need. And I have a few other scriptures in here, but if Christ is speaking and he's asked what's going to be the sign of his coming and the end of the world, there you have it. All right, here we go. So I got these numbered here, beloved. Maybe I could have done a better job on, wording these, but you'll get the idea. So the first thing Christ says, let no man deceive you. And then many are going to come in Christ's name, meaning they're claiming to be Christ's possession. So when you claim that you're Christ's possession, you're claiming to be a Christian. And I believe that's the way this should be interpreted. And then we got wars and rumors of wars. We have famines, pestilence, earthquake in diverse places. And then once the Antichrist is here, you're delivered up to death, which is one of Satan's names. And look around. Everybody is offended right now. I mean, people get offended at the slightest thing. And love will wax cold. It means basically love will be non-existence in the literal sense of the word. And then hate will abound. And you see this in the world, beloved, even amongst Christians. And then we have betrayal, where your word means nothing. You give your word and then you just completely go back on it. And then iniquity will be the rule of the day. And the gospel will be preached to the entire world. And this is right before the end. And then we got Satan standing in the holy place claiming to be God. And I'm going to document this for you, beloved. He is the abomination of desolation. And many Christians will be promoting Satan, whether they know it or not. And one of the ways they promote Satan is by teaching false doctrine, especially the rapture doctrine. And then, of course, the Great Tribulation. And many will be saying, here is Christ in error. And they'll say, Christ is over here, Christ is over there, and Christ is not here yet. And this is going to be a lot of the rapture people. When the Antichrist is here, they're going to believe he's Christ. And signs and wonders by those who claim to be Christ's possession. And again, I use that Christ's possession because the English text says they're going to claim to be Christ, but I believe it's claiming to be Christ's possession. Now that's my own interpretation, beloved, but I believe you can take that to the bank. All right, let's begin here, and I'm just going to go over a step by step. Matthew 24. And verse 1, and Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Now this is... Beloved, this basically it means at Christ's return, he's going to turn all of this into sand. And that's it. You're not going to see any remnants of anything. You won't be able to tell what was where on the earth before Christ came back. After he comes back, it'll be a completely new earth. Okay, and then let's go to verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and the end of the world? Beloved, let's look at this word world here as it's used. And this, I insist that you get a Strong's Concordance in the paperback or the hardcover, a real book, because the online Strong's won't tell you how it's being used and where it's being used. But the Strong's that I have tells me where the word is used and which Greek word it is. And that's so very important, beloved. And it's the Greek word number 165, and it's eon, however you want to say it. And it means a span of time, a space of time, an age, a cycle of time, especially of the present age as contrasted with the future age, and one of a series of ages stretching to infinity. Okay, beloved, many false teachers claim that this already happened in 70 AD when Titus conquered this whole area. And this couldn't be further from the truth, beloved, because this one word will bear out that this is false teaching. They asked Christ, the disciples asked Christ, what's going to be the end of this age, this eon, this span of time? Not the world, not this region, not just Jerusalem, although it is the center of the universe, but Christ, they were talking about what's going to be the end of this age, not the end of this little area. And that's so very important. It shows you how one word can change the whole meaning of what's being said in a verse. Okay, and I hope you understand that, beloved. This was not 70 AD when Titus. If you interpret it that way, it's just bad reading, and you're not going into the Greek. And a lot of these rapture teachers have to take this out of context to make the pre-tribulation rapture work. And they can't just go through, they have to break this all up in Matthew 24, Luke 21, and Mark 13. They have to break it up and say this going back and forth in their spans of time. But really, this is all one subject, and Christ laid it out in the beginning. What is going to be the sign of your coming and the end of this age? The end, beloved. The seventh trump, when it ends. All right, now let's go to verse 4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. And this is, I interpret it, I am Christ's, okay, with an apostrophe, and shall deceive many. They come in Christ's name, and they haven't come in Christ's name at all. They come in their own name, basically. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. To repeat it. Don't lose sight of that, beloved. So many preachers nowadays, this is one of the signs, are claiming to be Christ's possession, and they are nowhere near it, beloved. There a lot of them are charlatans, and some of them are unknowingly teaching false doctrine, and that may be a cloak of innocency, but they're still guilty of misleading people. Okay, verse 6, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, so ye shall not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not quite yet. And look at the world today. There are so many rumors of war and so many nations rising up against nations right now. And beloved, this has happened in times past in history, but never before on the scale like today. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, earthquakes in divers places. Now, beloved, when we mention pestilences, Okay, this thing that just, and then the next one they got this monkey business, all this stuff, that falls under the heading of pestilences. And I believe this basically ushered in the Great Tribulation, because basically all the followers of Satan, before this, they were playing like poker, but they didn't show their hand. Now they showed their hand, and they're calling us out. And I believe that this is the start of the Great Tribulation. That's my own belief. Okay, verse 8, and these are the beginnings of sorrows. And this is basically the beginning of the tribulation. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And basically, these are Christians that are delivered up for a testimony. And they're not gone. I'm sorry. You can't be delivered up if you're gone in a rapture. And this is speaking to Christians, beloved. Verse 10, and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall arise, and they shall deceive many. Now, beloved, I forgot to go over this word tribulation. Tribulation and affliction are the same word in the Greek, and it's Greek number 2347, thalipsis. And look at what it means: affliction, distress, tribulation, suffer, akin to the base, to crowd, literally or figuratively. Narrow throngs, suffer tribulation, trouble. And then you got your prime root there. That's not the prime tibos. But basically, this is the word that's being used when, as Christ is speaking. This is the word here. It's 2347. That's the one he was. That's basically the word that was interpreted to tribulation, the Greek word. And thank goodness for the Strongs, in the hard copy rendition of it. Okay, now let's go to verse 11. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive. I repeated that. Okay, beloved. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Beloved, you see this in the world. It's like natural affection has disappeared. The love between parents and their children, the love between a man and a woman, and just the love of your fellow man, people that show courtesy and dignity towards their fellow man. It's basically gone. It's basically gone. I mean, it's still here, but it's becoming rare. Okay, let's see. Verse 13, but he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. Now, these are Christians, beloved. They're already saved. It's just saying you'll be saved out of the consequences of the tribulation, because the whole idea behind it is when Satan is here, he's going to bring you up and give you a chance to worship him or deny him, or worship Christ or deny Christ. Which one are you going to choose? And this is the hour of temptation, beloved, when Christians are delivered up before the magistrates of the Antichrist. And these are Christians, beloved. Make no mistake about it. They're not gone in some dumb rapture. Please. I mean, this just completely debunks the rapture, pre-tribulation rapture theory. Christ didn't come until after all of this. And he's basically coming for Christians. I mean, he's coming for everybody, beloved. Even if they're not saved at this time, he still loves them and wants them to receive salvation through the millennium. And beloved, there's only one reason why the Antichrist why Satan is released at the end of the millennium: to test those who didn't make it in this age. Mark my words. Okay, now this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. Now this is basically the very end, to repeat that verse again. Now let's go to verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever reads this should understand it. Now, it says he stands in the holy place, right, beloved? Now, if you go to 2 Thessalonians, it's telling you who's standing in the holy place. There can't be any mistake as to who the abomination of desolation is. And Moffat translates this the abomination of the desolator. And that's one of Satan's names. There's no mistake who this is, beloved. I mean, it's repeated in 2 Thessalonians. These are two witnesses to this joker who stands in the holy place and claims to be Christ. He's the spurious Messiah. 2 Thessalonians 2:4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he is God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So that's a second witness to what Christ said. That Daniel the prophet, he referred back to Daniel the prophet, Daniel, Christ, and Paul, but all three are telling you that this joker is going to stand in the holy place and claim to be God. And that basically is the tribulation. Without Satan standing in the holy place, you got no tribulation. I mean, you got tribulation before that, but he is actually the consummation of that tribulation. Okay, verse 16 of Matthew 24, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. In other words, when you see all this, you need to split. Let him which is on the housetop come down to not come down to take anything out of his house. In other words, it's too late to get back your bags. It's going to be over very quickly. Neither let them which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Now, beloved, this is not talking about a child. A child's a gift from God. This is a metaphor. What does a mother do when she has a child? She nurses the child. Her breasts are the child's food. When you nurse a child, you're nursing it along, keeping it alive. And this is a metaphor for nursing along false doctrine. You are promoting it. You see how that works? You're promoting false doctrine and spreading it. And beloved, make no mistake, the rapture doctrine is giving suck. And Christ said, woe unto you for promoting that. Okay, let's jump here to Luke 23:29. And this is referring to those who are barren and haven't given suck to this child, this false doctrine. Okay? For behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bare, and the paps which never gave suck. Do you see how the same language is being used, beloved? If you swallow this rapture doctrine and you promote Satan as the real Christ, you are in trouble. And the ones who don't promote this and stay true to their Messiah, their spiritual wombs are barren. They haven't worshiped the false Messiah. That's what both of these are referring to, beloved. Okay, and now let's go to verse 20 of Matthew 24. But pray ye that your flight not be in winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Now this is saying don't be harvested out of season. The winter, you don't harvest crops in the winter. You harvest them in the summer or the fall. And if you're harvested out of season by the false Messiah, you're in trouble, beloved. And that's what this is referring to. Wait for the true Christ to come. And don't worship the first Messiah in the winter. See how all this ties together, beloved? None of it contradicts itself. These all tie in together just like a glove. I mean, it's airtight, beloved. All right, 21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. Now, beloved, this is the same tribulation. There's no changing of tribulations or affliction. There's no difference between the great tribulation and affliction. I mean, there is a difference in the sense that every Christian suffers tribulation. You suffer tribulation for your faith. You don't suffer tribulation for your non-belief. But the great tribulation is referring to the very end, right before the seventh trump. And this is the tribulation of the Antichrist, the false Messiah. All right, now let's go to Mark 13. For in those days shall be affliction, same word as tribulation, 2, 3, 4, 7. Such as was not from the beginning of the creation which God created unto this time, neither shall ever be. I put that word ever in there. There's not going to be anything like it, beloved. And what we're seeing right now is that this rings true. What we're seeing right now is worldwide, unlike any other time in mankind's history. Okay. Now, and except those days be shortened, there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake those days were shortened. Beloved, who are the elect? They're Christians. If the days are shortened for them, that means they have to be here for the days to be shortened. You see how that works? You can't have a rapture. The Christians are not gone. They're going through this. And this just one verse here just debunks the whole pre-tribulation rapture doctrine. Okay, and for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch as if it were possible they'd fool the very elect. And they would fool the very elect if the time weren't shortened, and only God knows the how much every elect can take. But it's my belief, Revelation 9, 5 and 10 tell us that this tribulation is 5 months long. Now let's go to John 2:18. Little children, it's the last time, as ye have heard, that Antichrist shall come. Even now there are many Antichrists, whereby we know it's the last time. Now, the last time means the last days. And the word Antichrist means instead of Christ. Or Antichrist means people who come in the name of Christ, claiming they are Christ's possession. You see again how this ties together? Antichrist is an impersonator. Antichrist are Christians who claim to be Christians, and they're impersonators. See how I love how it all ties together. There's no contradictions, beloved. Now, Christ is saying, I've told you this time and time again. And wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he's in the secret chambers. Believe it not. Beloved, if you can, here's one of the criteria. If you can still pinch yourself, and you're still in the flesh, Christ ain't here, beloved. Christ ain't here. Lo, here is Christ. Lo, there is Christ. No. When you're in the Spirit, there's not going to be any question about where Christ is. You see again how it ties together? It's like a neat glove. This is true doctrine, beloved, not false doctrine like the pre-trib rapture believers teach. There's so many holes in their doctrine and contradictions, it's not even funny. All right. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even to the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Beloved, when the true Christ comes, and those who have worshipped the false Christ, this is going to be a complete surprise to them. They are going to be they are going to pray for the mountains to fall on them, because they're going to realize they've been worshiping the false Messiah. So, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will be the eagles gathered together. And the eagles are the ones who have the truth and know who the false Messiah is. Now, beloved, the pre-trib rapture teachers have no counter for this Mathew 24:29. Immediately After the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall the tribes of the earth mourn. They're going to mourn because a lot of them have been caught worshiping the false Messiah. And they shall see the Son of Man in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And beloved, this trumpet is the seventh trumpet. It's the last trumpet. It's the furthest out trumpet. It's the extreme last trumpet, and there is no other trumpet in which Christ comes. The second coming is at the seventh trumpet. And don't let any man deceive you about this. Just like the first words out of Christ's mouth, the first words, let no man deceive you. No false teacher deceive you. No rapture doctrine teacher deceive you. So anyway, beloved, that's it for this one. And much love from me to you, and we'll see you on the next lecture.